My wife, 27, and I, male, 30, own a sizable farm that's usually the nexus of family events. My cousin Bill, 52, has a daughter, Alice, 18, from his first marriage. His first wife was an immigrant with no family in our country and no contact with any family in her home country. She passed away when Alice was a baby, and Bill remarried Tanya, 52, 6 months later. They have since had 3 kids, male teen, male tween, female pre-tween. Alice is a brat because everything in their house revolves around either the boys, their 2 oldest together, or their princess, their daughter together, and Alice is left behind. She doesn't get to go on family trips. They wouldn't pay for extracurricular stuff. She couldn't take elective classes with extra fees, etc. I'm not a smart man, but I can recognize a kid hurting inside and being neglected. She's been coming to work on my farm for the last 4 summers because her parents don't want her around over summer break. She turned 18 recently, and leading up to her birthday, her dad was very adamant that she was being kicked out of the house when she turned 18 because, quote, it'll teach her responsibility. We, wife Alice and I, discussed it, and early on her birthday, we pulled up with my truck and packed her stuff up. We only packed things she purchased herself or those given to her by another person. We got Alice on my medical benefits until she finishes university. She starts in a few weeks, so she's able to go to therapy and she'll be able to get back into sports while still saving her money. This is where it all comes apart. Bill and Tanya are angry that we took her in and refuse to attend family events. Part of the family also refuses to attend because I'm undermining Bill and Tanya. I'll understand when I have kids. After they refused to attend events, a few others said that with gas being so expensive and not everyone attending, they'd skip as well. My answer of, okie dokie, come if you want, and don't if you don't, further upset people who thought I should have tried harder to get people to come. So now we're down to about 1/4 of the family in attendance for events. Taking Alice in resulted in a significant portion of our family siding with Bill and Tanya and refusing to come to family events. We have 1 or 2 big gatherings per year, and all the major holidays, Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas, etc. So the older members of my family are upset that they're not going to see the grandkids, great-grandkids, and family members that live far away as much. My aunt suggested that we have Alice over the weekends and that she stays in a dorm during the week to smooth things over. I think that's dumb, but I'm dumb and stubborn. My wife thinks it's dumb, and she's astute, but also very much attached to the situation. Alice said she'd rather stay with us, but would try the dorms to help make peace. Update number 1. Am I the idiot for taking in my problem cousin and canceling family events? I ripped the Band-Aid off with the old fam jam and told them that fewer mouths to feed isn't the punishment they thought it was. Anyone else who was coming is still welcome, and I'd have the extra cash from not feeding so many people to help the folks concerned about gas prices make it out if they so choose. I'm in like 4 different family group chats, and they're all lighting up. My family likes to gossip, and they're quite efficient at it. If your truck breaks down with only you in it, 5 miles from home, word is reached every aunt and cousin before you're in your door. When I put the word out, it traveled fast. This morning I've been called all the names in the book, and some new ones, so a revised and updated edition of said book may be coming out. I've been told I'm a good guy, a bad guy, I'm stupid, I'm smart, I'm short-sighted, I'm thinking ahead. It's been neat. Long story short, I've got about a dozen relatives telling me thanks, and they'll buy me a pint next time they're out, and about triple that who never want to speak to me again. So those are both significant victories. Now, nobody here really cares about me. We're all about Team Alice here. She's going to be staying here with us until she's ready to start the next chapter of her life, whatever and whenever that might be. She's got classes picked out and is looking into the women's rec league for a hockey team when the season starts. so she's all set on that front. Regarding feeding everyone and paying for gas, without going into details, I was very fortunate as a young man to be working very, very hard at a job I was woefully underqualified for, while a very wealthy person was on site. Basically, the right place, the right time, and the chief took me in and mentored me. The chief has shared a lot of wisdom with me. One of the biggest ones he taught early on was insisting that someone pays favor and fortune forward rather than back, and when you help them, it makes the world a better place. We've made a lot of money on a business venture together, in addition to me working for him. And since then, I haven't exactly had a ton of money, but enough that I was able to buy the property I live on outright and build my home here with my wife, who also makes good money. Family's important to both of us, and neither of our sides of the family tree has much for money, so we've done our best to make sure money isn't a barrier to getting together and seeing one another. Now the big news. Tanya drove down to my house this morning. Bill and I had some very loud, very angry words when he drove down last night after I chose the nuclear option in the family group chats. So she actually waved a white flag from her car when she pulled up. I shooed the dogs and alpaca away and went out to talk to her, brought her out a muffin, and we chatted. Allegedly, Bill threatened to kick Alice out to scare her straight, and that they weren't actually going to kick her out, and they were caught off guard when we showed up on the morning of her birthday. I told her that she was missing the point, and that I'm not sure I could use small enough words or short enough sentences to explain to her if she thought that was the only problem. She cried, then peeled out of the driveway, and it's been radio silent since, which I'm currently enjoying. Thanks everyone for the support. Update number 2. Am I the idiot for taking in my problem cousin and canceling family events? So, about a year ago, Alice moved in with my wife and me on her 18th birthday after being told she needed to move out on said birthday from her parents' house by said parents. I'm here with an update at her suggestion. The good. A year later, she's a year into an engineering degree. She's been playing lots of hockey, raised a couple of steers all on her own, and at her therapist's recommendation, she's down to monthly sessions after a brief stop at bi-weekly after starting with weekly. She's the same sweet kid, but without the extra unneeded stress of being treated like an outsider alongside her younger siblings. The bad. Her dad showed up about a month after my original post, and there was a confrontation of sorts that ended with a peace bond being issued with restrictions on how Bill and Tanya could contact Alice, myself, my missus, or a couple of other family members that got involved. After the 6 months required by the peace bond, Tanya started getting back up to her old tricks, but Bill has smartened up a bit. The peace bond meant she had limited contact with her siblings, which has been tough. The oldest boy, Teen, started out pretty hostile, but some of the other cousins filled him in on what was going on. I got blamed for his sudden shift in attitude because we've established that I'm just the worst with everything. The silly. The gossipy family mellowed out when they realized that the literal gravy train wouldn't stop at the station for them. Thanksgiving last year was 26 people compared to the 60 plus that came the last year that I threw it before global restrictions. Easter this year was back up to an even 40, so we'll probably plateau a little short of the old numbers. As for a resolution to the problem, Bill has been texting Alice every couple of days to check in. They've gone for coffee a few times after the peace bond expired. I'd go to his funeral but not to his birthday party, were Alice's words when I asked her about where they're at. I hope time can heal that wound, but she's been good at setting boundaries. To quote one of the greatest warrior poets of our time, John Cougar Mellencamp, life goes on. I go to his funeral but not his birthday party? Please tell Alice that I'm stealing this. Pure gold. She sounds like one very bright cookie. Thank all the powers that be for you and your wife. Too many unhappy people in the world. Early days, but it sounds like you've helped save one of them. Go Alice, and every blessing. What a wonderful family you are. These are the stories that restore my faith in humanity. You and your wife are seriously good people and should not have had to endure criticism from the extended family. Bill and Tanya just didn't want their mistreatment of Alice to be exposed by her behaving after being treated like an actual human being. Alice is going to triumph over this because of you. Evil stepmother, idiot dad. Thank the gods you were there for this kid. I'm glad she's doing so well. My wife was pregnant with our first child. We weren't telling anyone yet because it was early. My mom was over at our house and noticed some obvious clues of pregnancy. She asked about it, and we were honest. We also asked her to please respect our wishes and not tell people because it was early in the pregnancy and we wanted time to absorb it. The pregnancy was unplanned, but welcome. My mom lasted 2 weeks before she started posting about becoming a grandmother. We hadn't told her yet that we lost the baby. I felt dead inside when I saw her post, so I commented, "Rachel had a loss a week ago." I guess it took about an hour for my mom to see the comment and delete her post. We've been getting condolences, which we don't want, and my mom's been getting crapped on by friends and family for being so insensitive. She's mad at me for not telling her that we had lost her grandchild. I think I was an idiot because I replied that I don't want her blabbing my family's personal life again. She's crying and my dad is saying that I have every right to be upset, but that I could have been nicer. I'm just so angry right now, and I don't know how to feel. Am I the idiot? We had lost her grandchild? What? Your mom has issues. She's made the entire loss about her. So sorry for what you and your wife are going through. Your mom didn't respect your wishes and posted your news on social media. There's nothing wrong with your response to her. She's butthurt that friends and family have, rightly, been calling her out on her behavior. You're grieving, and your mom's thoughtlessness and betrayal of confidence put her in the situation she's in. Take time out for you and your wife to care for each other. Yeah, your mom deserves every comment she's getting about being insensitive. She has no right to be mad at you. She ought to be groveling for your forgiveness. I think Dad meant, clearly, your pregnancy was all about your mother, and your loss is also about her, which is very upsetting to her. And now I have to deal with her, and you've made it my problem. I'd be ready to block both of them for the foreseeable future. She violates your privacy, and she's mad? You were clear. She was to keep her mouth shut. At best, you've staved off potential congratulations you would have gotten from all the people ignorant of your loss. Anyone seeing your mom's post would most likely feel compelled to say something to your wife about it. After learning of the news, they may show more tact and only respond if your wife says something. So sorry this happened to you. I, 24 female, have been with my boyfriend Jack, 25, for 2 years. We've been living together for just over a year. I've always been fond of cooking and usually make a lot of Asian dishes as I grew up eating a lot of them. So, as a result, I do use soy sauce and sometimes some MSG. However, when I got together with my boyfriend, he mentioned how he's very allergic to soy, so I had to be extra careful about what I make. He also mentioned how his parents dismissed his allergy, and we had a long discussion about his allergies. I take allergies seriously due to an accident with a family member a few years ago, so when we moved in together, I purchased an entirely new cooking set to ensure there was no cross-contamination. Last week, we went to see his family as they invited us over to their place. I've met them before, and we had lunch together at a local restaurant. However, we have yet to visit them due to how far they live. During the visit, Jack went to pick up his brother from a gig. Our car is a 2-seater, so I was there with his mother, Annie, while she was making a barbecue. At some point, I saw her adding a lot of soy sauce to the marinade for all the meat and said she couldn't do that as Jack is allergic to soy sauce, meaning he won't be able to eat it. Annie said not to worry and that Jack loved this marinade and she had already made the first batch. I reminded her again that Jack could not eat it, and it wasn't safe for him. In short, we ended up arguing until Jack returned. When Jack returned, he was confused about why I'm arguing with his mother and ate one of the glazed wings in the marinade. I was shocked and tried to tell him that they had soy, but he said, "Don't worry, they're very tasty," and he's fine. I've asked about the allergies, and he said he didn't have any, and he just doesn't always like it in his food, as sometimes food tastes very salty with it. Now his entire family calls me a controlling idiot and demands a proper apology to Annie for insulting her cooking. I have apologized and said that this happened due to what Jack said, but they're not having any of it. I hate people who lie and say they're allergic when they really just don't like something. It makes it so difficult for people with real allergies to be taken seriously. You're not the idiot, but I would dump this guy. Just say you don't like soy sauce too much, man. But then saying his family doesn't take his allergies seriously? That's manipulative and borderline sociopathic. Yeah, he didn't just lie about his allergies. He does it in front of his family to try to make her look bad. That's disrespectful, hateful, and literal gaslighting. He doesn't respect you at all, OP, and he's shown that very clearly here. I'm sorry he put you through this, and it's best to cut your losses and dump him. Worse than that, he tricked her into cooking Asian food without soy. What your boyfriend has done to you is terrible. It cost you significant stress, plus a whole new cooking set. He fully lied to you, manipulated you, and for what? To have your meals seasoned according to his preferences? How controlling does a person have to be to do that to a life partner? The discussion should not be what you said to his mother. It should be whether you stay in this relationship. I'm currently on a weekend away with my husband's extended family. He and I are technically working from home over this week, so we took our laptops to the big house the family's renting. I also brought my baby's playpen because he's very active, and I knew there'd be times when one or both of us wouldn't be able to run after him. So anyway, I was watching him yesterday evening, Saturday, in the playpen, while I was responding to some emails that were urgent. My husband's cousin-in-law, Amy, walked past me with their young toddler and saw the playpen setup that I had. I admit she looked kinda tired, but I wasn't really noticing anything outside my kid and my laptop. She asked if I could play with her baby in the pen for a couple of hours so she could nap. I said no because I need to finish work, and then I was putting my kid down for his nap, and then my husband and I would cook dinner. It was our turn. I admit I did say, "Baby E has a dad, doesn't he? I saw him playing football earlier. Why doesn't he take over so you can nap?" Amy left, and I carried on the stuff I had to do. I noticed that she, her husband, and her mother-in-law didn't come to eat at the same time as everyone else. After dinner, my mother-in-law took my husband and me aside and said, I made issues between their family because Amy was mad at her husband, and Amy's mother-in-law thought I was interfering and should have just helped her out. Mother-in-law thinks I was an idiot because I could technically have watched over a kid that could only crawl when I was watching one who loves to run and climb. But my husband and I don't think it was my responsibility in this instance. Not the idiot. Sounds like Amy's a single parent, and someone finally pointed it out to her. Someone needed to remind her she had a baby daddy. Amy's problem with her husband has nothing to do with you, your husband, or your child. The mother-in-law can watch her kid if it's that urgent. You were occupied. It's funny how there's always someone in these stories to criticize people for not stepping up without offering themselves. Mothers-in-law could have watched if it was such a big deal, or the child's dad could have been a parent for the first time ever. Weird that mommy's mad at you for putting the idea in daughter-in-law's head that her darling son should help. Mommy is why Amy's husband ended up the way he did. However, I was pleasantly surprised by Amy. I thought she would be mad at you. Instead, Your reasonable question about why her husband doesn't help her out with watching their kid helped open her eyes. You can't be blamed for that. It was a legitimate question that could lead to long-term improvement in his parenting.